Thanks, Doctor. Up next, we have Iran. If you can go ahead and unmute. Thank you.
Thank you for the great presentation, Doctor. I would like to ask you if you're familiar with the CIMT test, and how would you compare it to the CAT scan from a perspective of determine the arteries blockage situation and improvement?
I'm sorry, what test was that?
CIMT. It's stand for cardiac intima media thickness test.
Oh, okay. Well, I have no personal clinical experience with that. You know, we measure intimal medial thickening of the carotid arteries, if that's what you're talking about. And so carotid intimal medial thickness, we do that, we follow that, but we don't look at carotid arteries intimal medial thickness on a regular basis in our lab at the hospital. We use cardiac CT. They don't look at plaque analysis or the like. The closest thing we may get to that is a biological marker, and it's a score. We call it the Pulse score, and it looks at the biochemistry of measuring plaque instability. It actually correlates reasonably well with epicardial coronary disease as well as plaque stenosis. But I'm not familiar with the use of that test that you described. We use CT angiogram primarily in our lab to get an anatomical assessment as to the amount of epicardial coronary artery disease that a person has. That helps us make a decision as to whether we're going to proceed with, a cath or treat them non-invasive with ECP therapy if they have angina. And so that's our approach. But we haven't used coronary intermediate medial thickness as a measure. Certainly not in the CT angiogram lab that we have.
Thank you, Doctor. Up next, we have Renee. Hi, Renee.
Hi. Thank you,
Hi.
Doctor. That was wonderful. I have a question about triglycerides. I'm wondering if someone eats a whole food plant-based diet, it's low in oil, low in salt, no added sugar, and exercises regularly, and they still have high triglycerides, what could be the reason for that, and how would you get it down?
Yeah, and we see patients like this, and the first question I ask is, okay, on a whole food plant-based diet, exactly how are you preparing your foods? What are you eating, and so on and so forth? Because when we get into the details of that, it really makes a difference. Because I have this concept of not a bite, not a drop, not a crumb. If you're in a situation where you have a chronic illness and you need to reverse a condition, you have to be very pristine. And so I've seen many patients, the thousands of patients we've seen over the 2 decades, maybe tens of thousands, many patients will come in and say, I'm on a whole food plant-based diet, et cetera, but my cholesterol is still off. But then I get into the nuts and bolts of not only what they're eating, but how they're preparing their food on a regular basis. I'll ask them, what are your favorite restaurants? What are your favorite? Because sometimes all of this stuff comes, it's almost like an interrogation. And, they say, well, I eat all the healthy things. And then all of a sudden it slips. Even the patient says that I'm, strict vegan. And then of course they eat cookies from time to time, which have eggs in them or whatever the case is. And, or they're microwaving their food, or they're sauteing things in oil, or whatever the case is. So when I find these minute, aspects of the diet, then we say, okay, we're going to try you on a detox. It's possible they're eating natural plant foods, they're not eating all organic. What I typically do is I'll put them on a juice feast, and maybe I'll do an intermittent fasting juice feast, one of those more aggressive protocols. So I'll put them on the most aggressive protocol that we have, because what that does, that strips away anything that could have been eating that may have been causing a problem that we may not have picked up on the history. And whenever I've done that, I've typically found good success with reducing their lipid abnormalities, such as elevated triglycerides.
Thanks, Dr. Montgomery. Up next, we have Rita. Hi, Rita.
Hi, Dr. Ben. Thank you for letting me in. Dr. Montgomery, thank you for some of the information I heard just for 35 minutes. My 88 years old mom is in India waiting in a very good hospital in emergency room since one day to be admitted to the ICU. She was perfectly okay a week ago. And now after she does have a history of hypertension And at some point last year, her blood pressure did go 240 over 120. Everything measures have been taken. The meds have, higher dosage of meds have affected her mental status. The week ago, rashes all over the body, could not even open her eyes. She was screaming. She has been given acute kidney infection as a diagnosis in the emergency room. I believe in functional medicine. I'm a functional medicine practitioner. And I'm sorry, but I missed the detox protocol, what you were mentioning. Her appetite is affected, not eating, not drinking, respiratory issues, oximeter did not pick up the oxygen at home. And this is kind of troubling to me in the sense, the neurologists, cardiologists, they are excellent, including the dietitians, over there at the hospital, because I was in India, met them for a little while. Just I went for 5 days to see, and I'm in New York actually. So in my mind, it was that use the results RNA, which is the spray, the zeolite and all, but for the heavy metal thing. But in your case specifically, where she didn't like it, so I brought it back. So in your protocol, what do you exactly use it? The chelation is not the way, neither it will be in India right now. And she's stuck, she cannot come here because of the COVID. So what specifically, I must have missed what you mentioned, that nutrition protocol that you are using it, because no appetite, no drinking. So it is kind of sad situation.
Yeah, that's very difficult. And while I won't give specific advice on her case, but I've had situations with patients, and I'll give one example, a patient I had in the ICU who was on a ventilator, so they couldn't drink or anything. So this patient had a feeding tube, a PEG tube in their stomach. And so I started this patient on liquid super greens through the PEG tube. And I was able to wean her off the medications. She actually eventually walked out of the hospital. Now, when patients are this far, it's a slippery slope. And so, the percentage of success rate is not great. However, the body can turn around even at this level reasonably effectively. So generally what I do with patients who are the most critically ill, I start them at food level 0, and I try to get it into the system as soon as possible. And I carry superfoods with them, maybe an algae or super greens or whatever, either ground up, powdered, liquefied, and either through a feeding tube or a Dopphoff tube, or if they're able to swallow, let them swallow. I try to start there. It's the most elemental, basic way to hydrate the patient. Hydration is important. It's hydrating them in an alkaline fashion, and it's getting super nutrients in their system that's helping the body repair itself and rebuild itself. And so I typically start there when I have patients at this level of acute illness, because I find this to be the most effective way to start to bring them back and resuscitate them. Similarly, as I discussed with that patient who was was given up for hospice, but she's now recovering, because the body, once you hydrate it, optimally nourish it, and wean the pharmacological agents as effectively as you can, it gives them the best chance to turn around.